blow to the government's immigration policy as the appeals court rules its Rwanda scheme unlawful.
There is a real risk that persons sent to Rwanda will be returned to their home countries where they face persecution or other inhumane treatment.
It is an embarrassment for the Home Secretary, who staked her reputation on stopping the boats and deporting illegal immigrants.
It is unfair on taxpayers. This is madness, Mr. Speaker, and it must end.
Well, the government has pledged to go to the Supreme Court to overturn today's judgment, but it is a fight that's proving increasingly awkward and expensive. Also tonight, an apology from the Met after it's revealed 4 decades of infiltrating left-wing groups should have been stopped. 40,000 police set to take to the streets across France following another day of unrest after officers shot dead a teenager.
So they asked you to, what was it initially, to listen into my voice messages?
As the Mirror hacking trial ends, Denise Welsh comes face to face with the reporter who hacked her phone. And
arm up, and then you swoop down and round like so.
Making a splash, the British mum who's taking the world of stone skimming by storm.
This is the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. The government has suffered a huge blow to its flagship immigration policy, with judges ruling sending asylum seekers to Rwanda is unlawful. The Court of Appeals said there was not enough safeguards in place, that anyone sent to the African country wouldn't be returned home and face persecution. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak insisted Rwanda is safe, and he said the government would take the case to the Supreme Court. The Home Secretary told MPs she was determined to deliver to British people the promise to stop the boats. But Labour says the plan is unravelling. Here's our UK editor, Paul Brand.
It's a policy that's never quite taken off. Deportation flights to Rwanda were grounded last year, and today judges decided it still isn't safe to clear their departure.
There are substantial grounds for believing that there is a real risk that persons sent to Rwanda will be returned to their home countries where they faced persecution or other inhumane treatment when, in fact, they have a good claim for asylum. In that sense, Rwanda is not a safe third country.
With that, the Court of Appeal rose, somewhat divided, but a majority found in favour of the asylum seekers and charities that brought the case.
We're absolutely delighted that the Court of Appeal has upheld the argument that Rwanda is not a safe country for people seeking asylum and that people will not be sent to Rwanda.
For the government, today's court battle wasn't just about the law, but the next election. Deterring channel crossings is one of its 5 key pledges, and judges have ruled that promise, as it currently stands, cannot be lawfully kept.
Last year we made the trip. Others may still have to, travelling to see how refugees live in Rwanda, where the government insists they are safe.
The freedoms here aren't the same as the freedoms in Britain, are they?
I don't know what you're talking about. We don't see living in Rwanda as a punishment.
Today's ruling is specifically about the risk of Rwanda simply sending refugees back to their home countries.
I'm waiting for my family to join me.
People like Kaveh, who came to Britain by small boat from Iran the day after the Rwanda policy was first announced.
How does it feel having all this uncertainty hanging over you?
It was awful. We had a so bad time at the fairs. We heard about you need to go to the Rwanda, you have to go to the Rwanda because most of people want to be safe. These plans just waste money and time.
But having visited Rwanda herself, the Home Secretary's so committed to her policy that she'll appeal.
It is unfair on taxpayers who foot the hotel bill for people who've broken into this country. It incentivises mass flows of economic migration into Europe, lining the pockets of people smugglers and turning our seas into graveyards, all in the name of a phony humanitarianism. This is madness, Mr. Speaker, and it must end.
But for now, and for some time to come, crossing the English Channel will not become a route to Rwanda. Paul Brand, ITV News.
Well, our Deputy Political Editor Anushka Astana is outside in the Home Office. Anushka, where does this leave the government then tonight?
Well, I think it leaves them not in a great place. This is the Home Office's flagship reform and one of the Prime Minister's biggest priorities. Now, I should say there are critics of whether the Rwanda policy will work, including civil servants themselves who have told me they're not convinced it will deter people. The Labour Party have argued about the cost of this, £169,000 per removal, with savings just over £100,000. Today they say the policy is unravelling. But in terms of Conservative MPs, I've spoken to MPs across different wings of the party today, and they largely support this policy and are frustrated by today's court decision. One on the right of the party argued that they should now consider leaving the European Court of Human Rights. One on the more liberal wing doesn't agree with that, but said the policy is turning into a nightmare, and they said they felt there was a bit of judicial activism here, the idea that judges unelected are interfering in government policy. Now, I haven't heard that language from government sources today. They are disappointed, but there are points on which they are hopeful. Firstly, that the court ruled it is lawful in principle to send an asylum seeker to a third country if it is safe. And on the specific Rwanda point, the risk of someone being sent back to their home country from Rwanda, sources in government point out that the most senior judge in the Court of Appeal, the Lord Chief Justice, did dissent. He did not agree with his colleagues on that point, and therefore they have hope, they say, in the Supreme Court.
Anushka Astana at the Home Office, thank you.